Good morning, Thomas and Nick. I hope you guys had a blessed Easter spring break. Now we are getting back to work, and so I thought I would send out a video about our spelling list 16, and the new rule that we're learning this week. So we are learning about the changing rule. And what we're learning about that is that when we have a word that ends in a Y, we need to find out, do we need to change that Y to an I before we add a suffix, or do we keep it the same? So there's a rule that we follow that we check for with our words to decide whether we need to change that Y to an I before adding our suffix. Now, before we go through any further, let's review some of our vocabulary. The first word I want to review is a base word. You will notice that all of your spelling words that are listed this week are base words. That means that they are a word without any suffix or prefix or anything else to it. They're just a word. But as we go through and learn our changing rule, the activities that you will have throughout your spelling binder and also as you study for your test and on your test, you are going to have to know how to spell the derivatives. Now, a derivative is your base word, like obey and lazy, with an added suffix. In this case, suffix, because that's what we're learning about specifically for the changing rule. So as you're going through, please make sure you know how to properly change, or if a word needs to be changed in its spelling before you add your suffix. And notice also that while we have in the past talked about vowel suffix versus consonant suffix, in this case it's any suffix, vowel or consonant suffix. If we're adding it to a word that ends in a Y, we need to know whether we're going to change that Y to an I or not. So let's go through this. So when we're adding a suffix to a base word that ends with a Y, we need to ask ourselves, is there a vowel or consonant before the Y? So what we're looking at is the entire spelling of the word, and specifically this letter right before the Y. So our first word is obey, and if we look at this, we have an E-Y. Now we know that an E is a vowel, right? We have 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, and U. So this is a vowel before the Y. So what we learn in our changing rule is that if there's a vowel before the Y, then all we do is add the suffix to the base word. So if I were to add suffixes, let's do both a vowel and a consonant suffix. I would have obeyed. Okay, so here's my ED, right? And for this one, we will do a consonant suffix. So when we look at our vowel before our Y, all we're going to do is add our suffix. Here we added an ED. Now this might look funny because there are a lot of vowels right in a row, okay? But still follow the rule, because if we were to do this incorrectly, it would look something like this. And we do not want this. This is wrong. So we want to keep that Y if we have a vowel before it. Okay? So let's look at our next one. We have lazy. So what we're going to look at is, as I scoot around here, this ZY. We know that Z is a consonant, right? So when there is a consonant before the Y, you have to change the Y to an I before adding the suffix. So if I were to look at this and I said, my kids over spring break showed such laziness. They didn't. They actually worked really hard. We built a standing garden and all kinds of other stuff and planted a garden. But if I were to say that they showed laziness, I'm going to write it where I get to here and I say, I need to change that Y to an I before I add an ESS. I also need to change it before I add a vowel suffix. So if I said that, let me think. If I said that my cat Salty is the laziest laziest cat I've ever seen. So I'm going to add EST. I'm still going to change that to an I before I add my suffix. So if we look at this, if we see a vowel before the Y, we just add our suffix, whatever it is. If we have a consonant before the Y, we have to change that Y to an I. Now, there is one exception. Isn't there always? There's an exception. If we have the suffix ing, we are always going to keep the word the same. No matter what, we are just going to add ing. Because otherwise, if we change this to an I and added ing, we would have two I's in a row. And we don't do that. So, in this case, in both cases, in every case for our situation on our list this week, if you see ing added to it, you're just going to add it to the word and not even look at the letter before it. Okay, the last thing I wanted to do was to read through your words with you. So let me get that pulled up really quickly, and then we're just going to read through so that we are familiar with all of our words. So we have buy, lazy, obey, story, reply, carry, tardy, lousy, annoy, empty, happy, satisfy, jockey, thirsty, employ, monkey, destroy, and industry. Okay, so that's it for today as far as your spelling lesson, and I hope you guys have a great day.